All right, as we talked about, guys, understanding the post-war era, we just got through looking at civil rights and equal rights, and how the civil rights movement greatly impacted other movements as well. You're kind of seeing a little bit about all of this intermixed with your first assignment. The Cold War we're going to look at a little bit with the next assignment, but what I want to go ahead and make sure you understand is your changing technology, kind of like what's going on after World War II. So when we look at this and we ask ourselves, like, what does the United States look like after World War II domestically? What is going on? We understand the civil rights movement. We understand that we're having a number of different presidents, but we need to understand there's going to be a major technological impact as a result of World War II. So as you're looking at your notes, kind of put a little story together, and we're just going to read this and we're going to fill in the blanks as we go. So the generation referred to as the baby boomers. This is the largest generation in American history, and it resulted as soldiers returning to the U.S. after World War II. Another effect of the soldier return was a housing shortage. So we're having a massive family population increasing, so there's not enough houses. From 1946 to 1964, approximately, give me a guess. If you said 79 million babies were born during this period, you'd be correct. So in response, suburbs or communities outside of the cities, which were made up of mostly single-family houses for people whose family members worked in the cities, were developed. So we had to have this massive boom because the cities just could not hold the people. Because it's babies and all that. So the first communities in America that were developed outside were known as William Levitt. All right, William Levitt, and he called these Levittown, which was located in New York, Long Island, and it's still there today. So we see, and of course, we now see suburbs and all these developing still consistently. Also, as a result of soldiers coming home, and very important, something that you can take and have this opportunity because of this as well, if you want to. Something known as the GI Bill of Rights. Sometimes you just hear it known as the GI Bill, passed by Congress to protect and reward returning servicemen with low interest loans for homes. Also, you get money to go to school. They pay for you to go to school if you do those 4 years. And then you still, for the rest of your life, as you buy homes, you get low interest loans, which is something that you may not understand now, but you will later. Now, they also needed cars, and increased car ownership meant more roads were needed. If I'm going to be living outside the city, I'm going to need something that's going to help me get in. So this is a key term that explains a lot that's going on. Congress passed a law known as the Interstate and Defense Highways Act. Coach Coffee, why do they call it defense? I'm going to get to you in a minute. So authorizing the construction of a national network of highways to connect America to every major city in America. Now, President Eisenhower supported this act because not only were you just making cities and states and businesses function better, and it was needed, but he also, by this time, the United States was involved in the Cold War, which we're already kind of idea what that is. And so he believed that if we had this interstate system, it would enable troops to move more efficiently and personnel to move quicker in case of a nuclear attack, which was a major concern at this time. Now, you can see the national system for interstate and highway defense. Again, this was up until this was by 1976, 75 maybe was put down, and you can still see like it was more than just that. And so you have this internal network connecting all of these together. Now, so looking more, going to kind of going to the next step. Although television predates World War II, it was not commercially feasible until after production demands of World War II subsided. So because of the massive war production that had to go on, now people, they did transition to let's produce TVs. Now, television had the same effect that the radio had on previous Americans. Many Americans watch the same entertainment, news programs, and so we see the creating of a common national culture because of this. If I'm watching TV shows in California, I'm watching the same ones in Georgia. So now we're going to see the same stars, same cultural identity things that we may be able to pick up on. So television news coverage impacted political and social events as well. Big idea. We talked about it with John F. Kennedy already, how he saw stuff that in the South that was going on that hadn't been seen before. Now, so by the 1960s, television had a number of major impacts. For example, the presidential election campaign of 1960 between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, presidential debates were the first ones ever shown on TV. Now, Kennedy looked and he spoke more forcefully because he had been coached by television producers, and this helped him win the presidency. Guys, the 1960 Kennedy-Nixon debates changed the shape of American politics because it showed how television had the power to shape public opinions and perceptions about the candidates. Now, at the same time, nightly television news provided a regular reminder of the ongoing struggle for civil rights in the South. This is going to push Kennedy to advocate for more of it. Now, civil rights leaders were smart. They said, we want to make sure we use media coverage to illuminate, meaning to put a spotlight on their issues. And as mentioned, news footage of dogs biting demonstrators or fire hosing blasting children made for a dramatic viewing and caused many people to question the equality of these segregation laws. Now, one of the most dramatic events broadcasted was the attack of the Alabama State Patrol on the Selma March in 1965. Also, King's I Have a Dream speech was broadcast live to a nationwide audience in 1963. So that's at home. Also abroad, as with images from the Vietnam conflict, which is a Cold War conflict, television proved it could sway national opinion. No longer would people have to listen to reporters describe events to them over the radio or simply read them in newspapers. Now they could see them as they happen. So likewise, televised images from Vietnam made it, guys, this is the memory clue to remember television, made it the first ever war fought in your living room. You could turn the TV on and you could see the war being fought in your living room. What a great phrase, fought in your living room. Now, the fact that people could actually see the death and destruction every night on their TV contributed to an anti-war movement that began, and this is being, that was a mistake, on college campuses. Now, this is a really good image because it kind of explains to you. You see Nixon really looked bad on TV. He had a terrible sweat mustache, and so he looked sickly. And most people that were polled said if they watched it, they felt that Kennedy won. If they listened to it on the radio, they felt Nixon won. So they kind of said, look, man, there's some perspective there that has to go. As was mentioned, you can kind of see the attacks on the Selma March that were going on, and people just really began to question, kind of like, whoa, what's really going on in the South? Now, in addition to television, the use of air conditioning. No, that's right. This is pretty simple. We should have been understanding this. Air conditioning promoted more tolerable working conditions in hot and humid climates in the South, resulting in economic growth in the region. So by the 1970s, early versions of personal computers transformed U.S. businesses by making calculations and transactions faster and businesses more efficient. So these, along with basic networks that resemble the internet, that's right, gave few Americans a glimpse of the technologies that someday would connect everyone to each other, regardless of where you were. Guys, the internet makes it possible for you to sell. I could record this video and I could put it on a website and sell it. And somebody can buy it. I can make money in China if I wanted to. The internet just makes that much, everything that much more efficient. So we're going to pause right there. We will finish the rest in the next video. And always remember to smile because this contagious.